You know, for years, my life was a high-tech monastery. I was Finn Keller, the invisible guy in the faded jumpsuit, pushing my cart through the dazzling, cold perfection of Nexus Core headquarters after midnight. My job was simple: clean up the million-dollar messes left by people whose brilliance I once dreamed of sharing. I was 36, tall, strong, and completely, deliberately unseen. That's how I wanted it, you know. What no one at Nexus knew, what no one in that entire glass tower suspected, was that Finn Keller was supposed to be somewhere else entirely. I'd won the National Math Prize in college, had a full scholarship to Stanford, the whole deal. They called me a once-in-a-generation mind. But life doesn't always care about your potential. My little brother got hit by a drunk driver. The medical bills, the therapy, my parents collapsing under the weight of it all. I did what I had to do. I boxed up the textbooks, traded in the dream, and took the cleaning job. The goal was survival, not success. And then there was Evelyn Shaw, the CEO. The kind of woman who didn't walk, she commanded. 34, platinum blonde hair, sharp as a laser beam. And she ran Nexus Core like a symphony of algorithms and cold, hard logic. She believed firmly that excellence was the baseline, and if you weren't at the top, you were, quite frankly, irrelevant. I didn't hate her for it. That was just her world, and I was happily outside of it. But that world started shaking that week. They were in a serious crisis. A core energy algorithm had developed this critical, invisible flaw. Her entire elite engineering team, the best money could buy, they'd been working around the clock, throwing their genius against this wall, and nothing worked. They had a global presentation scheduled in 48 hours, and failure simply wasn't in Evelyn Shaw's vocabulary. It was late, maybe 1:30 a.m. Only Evelyn remained in the executive conference room, staring at the whiteboard that was just covered in these infuriating, messy equations. She was rubbing her temples, looking defeated, and then, in walks the ghost with the mop. I was just trying to do my job, quiet and fast, but my eyes, they just drifted to the board, and I saw it. Just a split second, a flicker of recognition, the way an old athlete recognizes a perfect throw. I saw the logic, the flaw. They had the intermediate variable set incorrectly. Evelyn caught my momentary pause. She looked at me, irritation mixing with this deep-seated corporate arrogance. "Do you understand something about this?" she asked, her voice dripping with sarcasm. It was the automatic response of the smartest person in the room, challenging the janitor. I should have stayed silent, just shrugged and moved on. But exhaustion, man, it makes you stupid. And years of keeping that knowledge locked down. It was heavy. "I think," I said carefully, "you might have the intermediate variable set incorrectly." She froze. And then she laughed. God, it was a terrible sound, dismissive, sharp. The laugh of someone confronting the absurd. "All right, Mr. Keller," she said, her voice laced with condescension. "If you are really as clever as that sounds, then solve this, and I will give you a kiss." She meant it as a joke, a clean, sharp dismissal to send me back to my mop bucket. She expected me to mumble an apology and let the natural order reassert itself. But I didn't. Something snapped. All that frustration, all that buried potential, it channeled into a single point of focus. I picked up the marker, and I wrote. I didn't scribble or guess. I wrote with the quiet confidence of a man teaching a language he knows fluently. The solution flowed elegant, perfect lines straightening out their complex tangles. Evelyn watched, her amusement draining out, replaced by this cold, sharp shock. When I set the marker down, the click echoed. "You can check it now," I said simply. She moved to the board. I watched her eyes skim the work. Once, twice. Her face went pale, then flushed, then pale again. Every instinct she had told her to find a flaw, to prove me wrong, to keep the hierarchy intact. But she couldn't. It was flawless. It was brilliant. She turned to me, and for the first time, she looked genuinely surprised. And something deeper, respect, curiosity, and maybe, just maybe, the uncomfortable sting of shame. "Sit down, please," she said, her voice completely different now. "I need to understand who you are." It took a while, but I told her the whole story, the scholarship, the awards, the phone call that changed everything, the impossible choice to trade my brain for survival. "Why didn't you go back?" she asked, her voice quiet. "You have the talent." I gave her a sad smile. "Not everyone has the privilege of chasing dreams, Miss Shaw. Some of us just have to make sure other people survive first." The words hung between us. I could see her whole worldview, so carefully constructed on meritocracy revealing itself as incomplete. She had never considered the cost of success, the brilliant people who simply couldn't afford a safety net. For the first time, Evelyn Shaw looked at me, the janitor, and felt humility. She wondered if she'd been looking at the world all wrong. And that, right there, was the turning point. After that night, our relationship changed completely. She started leaving little breadcrumbs for me, complex combinatorics problems, logic puzzles on the conference room board. I'd solve them, and the work would be neater every time. She started staying later, timing her work to match my shift. We'd talk for hours, ranging from philosophy to music. "You make it look easy," she said to me one night, watching me solve a graduate-level qualifying exam problem in minutes. "It is easy," I replied, "when you understand the underlying structure." Our eyes met. Intelligence does not ask where you were born. The distance between us, the cosmic distance between CEO and janitor. It started to feel less like a chasm and more like a bridge. I started noticing the way she looked at me, the care she took. She was applying lipstick she never used, fixing her hair in ridiculous ways. She was a CEO, for God's sake. Why did she care what the janitor thought? But she did. That was the complicated, terrifying truth. Then, the second crisis hit. It was a digital hurricane. Blake Dynamics' core system was hacked, corrupted at its foundation. The presentation was less than 24 hours away, and the engineers were openly saying it was hopeless. Everything, the company's reputation, its contracts, its entire future, it all hung by a thread. Evelyn stood in the war room, panic rising, surrounded by screens of cascading errors. And without a conscious thought, she said my name. "George," she corrected herself. "Finn. I need Finn Keller. Get him up here now." The room full of VPs and senior engineers went silent. I arrived in my uniform, worried and confused. Evelyn met me at the door. "I need your help," she said, cutting through all the BS. "I know I have no right to ask, but I am asking anyway. I'm trusting you with everything." I looked at the chaos, the despair in her face, and that was it. "Show me," I said. For 15 minutes, I studied the system, tracing the pathways, muttering to myself. Then I turned to the CEO and her defeated team. "I can fix this," I told her, "but it requires rebuilding 3 core modules from the ground up. It will take all night, and I will need full root access." Her senior VP started to object security clearance. "Impossible." But Evelyn cut him off, her voice absolute ice. "Give him whatever he needs." I worked through the night, Evelyn standing guard behind me like a shield. She watched my fingers fly across the keyboards, rebuilding corrupted systems with a speed and precision the professional engineers couldn't believe. At 3:58 a.m., I typed the final command. The errors cleared. The system compiled. The monitors shifted from red to green. The room erupted in applause. I turned to face Evelyn. "You saved us," she whispered, her voice tight with emotion. "You trusted me," I replied. That was the harder part. We walked out of the war room together, watching the city wake up to people who had started on different planets, but who now shared a secret and a sunrise. That's when the real fallout began, the kind that hits your reputation, not just your code. Standing on that rooftop, watching the morning air clear, I knew we had crossed a point of no return. Evelyn apologized for the awful joke, for all the ways she hadn't seen me. I just smiled and told her she didn't owe me anything. But she knew better. "I owe you an apology, and I owe you an opportunity," she said, her voice clear in the morning light. "But you know how corporate America is." The rumors spread like wildfire. The CEO and the janitor, romantic to some, a career-killing scandal to others. The board of directors, those stiff, old suits who cared more about propriety than profit. They called an emergency meeting. They wanted me gone, quietly, to avoid disruption. When I heard about the pressure Evelyn was under, I knew what I had to do. I didn't want my struggle to destroy her. So I typed up my resignation short, simple, effective, and left it on her desk before her 9 a.m. meeting. I walked straight to the parking garage, ready to disappear again. She found me by my old sedan, not yelling, but shaking with intensity. "You're leaving because of me?" she demanded. "I'm giving you back your reputation, Miss Shaw," I told her, my voice echoing in the concrete dimness. "I'm leaving because you're being hurt by people who think I don't belong here." "I don't want my reputation if it costs me your respect," she shot back. "You don't get to make this choice for me. I am strong enough to stand for what I believe is right." "This will hurt you," I insisted. Her words were the final crack in the wall I'd built around my heart. "Not having you here will hurt more." The next morning, Evelyn called an all-staff meeting. The auditorium was packed: executives, employees, and those stiff board members. She walked onto that stage with the quiet, terrifying calm of a woman who was about to burn the rule book. "I want to address some rumors," she began, her voice cutting through the silence like ice. "It has come to my attention that some people in this company feel entitled to judge others based on their job titles rather than their abilities." The room shifted uncomfortably. She didn't stop there. "Last week, when our entire core system failed, one person saved this company. That person was Finn Keller." She scanned the room, her eyes hard as diamonds. "Some of you know him as maintenance. I know him as one of the most brilliant minds I have ever encountered. He solved problems in hours that our highest-paid consultants couldn't solve in months." Then came the challenge, the beautiful, mic-dropping ultimatum. "If anyone here believes their education or position makes them superior to Finn, I invite you to prove it. Stand up, come forward, show me you can match what he did." I will wait. Dead silence. No one moved. Everyone looked at their shoes. "That is what I thought," she declared. "From today forward, any employee who creates a hostile environment based on someone's role in this company will be terminated immediately. Are we clear?" I stood outside those doors and heard every word. I'd spent so long believing I deserved to be invisible. And this woman, this fierce, brilliant CEO, had stood before hundreds of people and declared my value. Not because she had to, but because she chose to. 2 days later, Evelyn found me in the parking garage again. She held out an envelope. "I want to offer you a position," she said. "Algorithmic consultant for our new quantum computing division." "I'm not qualified," I muttered, the old fear surfacing. "I don't have the degrees." "You are more qualified than anyone I have ever met," she countered, stepping closer. "And more than that, you are kind. You gave up your dreams so your family could survive. That tells me everything I need to know about your character." I looked at the envelope. "What about," I said slowly, trying to sound casual, "what about that kiss you promised?" Her cheeks flushed. She was caught off guard. Then she smiled, that genuine, rare smile. "I think," she said, her voice softer than I'd ever heard it, "we should start with coffee. A proper conversation, away from the office." I told her I'd like that. But she held up the envelope one last time. "You need to take this job because I am selfish," she confessed, her vulnerability shattering the last wall in my heart. "I want to work with you because you make me think differently about everything. Because I need someone who will challenge me and teach me. And because I think we could build something extraordinary together." I took the job. I started on the 9th floor, wearing whatever made me comfortable. Within 6 weeks, the transformation was complete. I was the genius consultant, the problem solver, the one everyone sought out. Evelyn found excuses to visit my research floor multiple times a day. We both knew the truth. She was falling, had already fallen. One evening, in the quantum testing lab, the blue light reflecting off the monitors, I watched her. She moved beside me at the console. "How is the project?" she asked. "Good. We are ahead of schedule. That seems to happen when you're involved," she murmured, turning to face me. "I think, Finn, I don't give you enough credit. For a long time, I measured people by the wrong standards. Position, wealth, pedigree. And then I met someone who had nothing I thought mattered, and everything that actually does." She looked at me, her eyes luminous in the blue light. "I realized that what I feel is not just gratitude or professional respect. It is much more complicated and terrifying and wonderful." "What do you feel?" I asked, my heart hammering. She smiled, a little nervous, a little brave. "I intend to test that theory, starting with dinner tomorrow night. Just us, away from the office. We stood there, surrounded by the gentle hum of future technology, to brilliant minds and to careful hearts, finally understanding that they fit together. She reached out and let her hand rest gently on my arm. "Thank you," she said, "for being patient with me, for teaching me what actually matters." I covered her hand with mine. "Thank you for seeing me, for being brave enough to challenge everything you thought you knew." The future stretched ahead, full of projects to build, problems to solve, and a relationship to nurture. And underneath it all, a truth we both now understood, that value lives in unexpected places, that intelligence has no uniform, and that love simply arrives, waiting for the people brave enough to welcome it. So, that's my story. It started with a joke, a mop, and a billion-dollar equation, and it ended with a life I never thought I'd be allowed to have. My question for you today is this: what janitor are you overlooking in your own life? Is there a person whose true value you've ignored because of the uniform they wear, or the title on their nametig? Comment below and tell me what you think of Evelyn's choice. Was she right to risk her reputation to fight the board, or was she being reckless? Let's talk about where true loyalty lies in the workplace. Like and subscribe for more stories about second chances and finding genius in the most unexpected places.